Good afternoon, and thank you for tuning in to the Superior Chamber's first ever Face the Chamber Trustees Candidate Forum. We are glad you're here. My name is TJ Sullivan, and I'm the Executive Director of the Chamber. The Superior Chamber does not make contributions or endorse any candidates, but we hope that by offering this forum, we can introduce economic vitality issues to the discussion during this local election cycle. This forum is part of the Superior Chamber's effort to be a 3C chamber, meaning we are a catalyst for business growth, a convener of leaders and influencers, and a champion for a stronger community. All candidates for the Town of Superior Board of Trustees were invited to participate in today's event. 5 of the 6 accepted our invitation. Each candidate in random order will have an opportunity for a 2-minute opening statement. We will then have chamber volunteers pose questions to the candidates in random order. Each candidate will get 2 questions that have been submitted by chamber members. Questions have been randomly assigned to the candidates who have not been given the questions in advance. At the end of the event, each candidate will have an opportunity to make a 60-second closing statement. In the interest of time, we will not engage in rebuttals or public questions. However, participants may ask questions or make comments in the chat function, which the candidates may or may not utilize during this event at their discretion. A recording of this forum will be available on the Chamber's YouTube channel and Facebook page by tomorrow morning. I want to thank all the candidates for being here today and the staff of the Boulder Chamber of Commerce for their assistance in hosting the event on their platform. It is now my pleasure to introduce Stephanie Miller, President of the Superior Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, a Superior resident, and the Vice President of Private Banking and Construction Lending at Citywide Banks, who will introduce the candidates and invite them to make their 2-minute opening statements. Stephanie.
Thank you, TJ. And welcome to everyone to Face the Chamber. I am going to do my best to keep us on track a little bit better than the moderator in last night's presidential debate. So to that effect, this event will be calling on candidates in random order to give their opening statements as well as answer our questions. And I would just ask that the candidates be conscious of their time and please limit your statements and your answers to no more than 2 minutes, just so we can try to stay on track. So with that, we will begin with an opening statement from Tim Howard.
Hi, I'm Tim Howard. Thank you, Stephanie, TJ, and the Chamber for the opportunity to take part in this forum. I'm a runner, proud father of 5, an unapologetic progressive, and known around our town as Heidi Howard's husband. I decided to run for trustee because I believe in the coming months and years, we will be presented with new economic and environmental challenges that will require bold action, not the passive business as usual approach. I believe I can help navigate these challenges and champion long-term solutions. I spent the past 25 years founding, building, and selling businesses. Currently an owner and partner of Stonecroft Capital, boutique investment bank in Colorado. There are 3 priorities I believe that are crucial to ensuring Superior continue to thrive. 1, protecting the health and safety of the residents as well as the environment, committing to achieving 100% renewable energy, and energizing our economic development by embracing the importance of home-based businesses, as well as integrating sustainability, inclusivity, and diversity in every aspect of our economic planning. Lastly, I really do want to emphasize that by the town committing to 100% renewable energy, it will raise our visibility and attract the kinds of new chamber members that would be a benefit to all. Thank you again for the opportunity to participate, and I look forward to the discussion.
Thank you so much, Tim. Appreciate it. Next, we will invite incumbent trustee Kevin Ryan to make his opening statement.
Can you hear me okay? Great, Stephanie, thank you. I'd like to thank you, TJ, and the Chamber leadership and its members for hosting this event. The Chamber's done some great work over the years, but they really stepped up their game, in my view, over the last few months since COVID-19 and under TJ's leadership, so grateful for that. I don't think any of us quite expected to pivot to a virtual everything, frankly. As you know, I've been a trustee since 2016, and prior to that, I was a pretty active member of the community advocating on a number of issues. If you're watching this forum, I suspect it's because you too are passionate about Superior, and I'd encourage you watching to participate and keep up that level of activity consider joining one of our many advisory committees, or even consider running for office. I came into the trustee role because I admired the work of the previous board and wanted that excellent work to continue. The issues important to me back then were related to the tax incremental financing, or the TIF, associated with downtown Superior, accelerating the build out of Wildflower Park, and getting some type of commitment for a community center. The issues that we face for the next 4 years will be very different. Number one, let's face it, our business growth has stalled. I support residential development, but we must prioritize the diversification of the tax base beyond big box stores. We're already seeing pushback from the master developer of downtown Superior to see more housing units instead of commercial and retail that was not just promised, but approved under a development application. I'll partner with the developer, but the town needs somebody who isn't afraid to push back when partnering doesn't work. Second, like so many communities on the Front Range, we're faced with a threat against our health and safety. One of my most rewarding days as a trustee was leading dozens of citizens on a cold, snowy November afternoon to see just how close the Highland rigs would be from our homes, open space, and schools. We fought them off, but we fought them off back then. The threat was real, but we cannot turn our backs now. We must remain vigilant. It's not been easy being a trustee, and I'd be lying if I said I enjoyed every minute. But listening to the community has been the most rewarding professional thing that I've ever done. I've learned a ton. I know more about how the inner workings of a government and the details of a development application than I'd like to admit. I pledge to listen and always look out for every resident. Thank you for having me, and I look forward to answering the questions.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Next, we will move on to candidate Paige Henson.
Good afternoon. Thank you to the Superior Chamber of Commerce and to the members of our community who are joining us today. My name is Paige Henson. I want to be your next Superior trustee because I am invested in this community. I am the mom of 2 kids, Cassidy, who is 4, and baby Teddy, who is 9 months old. My husband Mike and I chose to move to Superior in 2016 in order to raise our family here. I want to help build a bright future for my children and all members of our community. As your trustee, I will make smart economic development decisions to help keep our town financially strong and resilient. I've spent my career working in management consulting, where I learned how to analyze data, interpret budgets, and make decisions based on facts. I am clear-eyed about the challenges and opportunities that we will face as we transition to a post-COVID new normal. I will bring my work experience to bear when making critical decisions about our business environment. I've also worked in our community as a volunteer and nonprofit board member. I know that our town is stronger when all members of our community can thrive. I will work hard to make Superior a welcoming and inclusive environment for all. I will advocate for affordable and attainable housing to ensure that all members of our community can live here with us, including our essential workers such as childcare providers, nurses, teachers, first responders, maintenance workers, and grocery clerks. I will fight hard on behalf of our environment with a particular focus on climate change and air quality. We are living through strange and troubled times, but running for elected office is an act of hope. I'm full of hope about the future we can build together as a community. I look forward to an engaging discussion today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paige. Next, we will move on to our other incumbent seeking re-election, Mayor Pro Tem Mark Leasis.
Good evening, and thank you to the Superior Chamber of Commerce for organizing this forum. My name is Mark Leasis. I'm a current trustee, and I'm running for re-election. I want to start off with a quick story. Back in 2013, my wife, Chris, and I were living in Denver, and we had 1-year-old twin boys who wouldn't sleep, who wouldn't nap. We were all sleep deprived and could only get our boys to nap in the car. So we did what any new parent would do who was sleep deprived. We put them in the car and took them for some rides. And we took turns so each of us could get a chance to catch up on some sleep while the other drove around for mobile nap time. I drove all around the Denver metro area. One day, I drove up 36, took the exit at McCaslin, and turned left. After a mile or two, I saw playgrounds, parks, kids riding their bikes, families with strollers. I didn't know what town I was in, but I knew right then and there that this was where I wanted to live. I pulled over, took out the map, and sure enough, I was in Superior. I drove back home and told my wife that I found our new home. And 2 months later, we were under contract. Like many of you, we moved to Superior for its excellent schools and amazing parks and trails, but we stayed because we fell in love with Superior's small town sense of community. I want to ensure that Superior remains one of the best places to live and raise a family. That's why I ran for trustee in 2016 and why I'm running for re-election now. During my first term, we passed tough oil and gas regulations, made the largest open space acquisition in town history, brought new businesses to town and cut property taxes, and created new community events and parks. Going forward, we will need to navigate the economic and public health challenges caused by COVID-19, complete downtown Superior with the vibrant Main Street we were promised, finish our new community center, and ensure that Superior remains a community where everyone feels welcomed and included. I'm committed to tackling these issues, and I hope to earn your vote. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark. Now we welcome candidate Chris Oakes to give his 2-minute introduction.
All right, I'm off mute. Okay, hi, I'm Chris Oakes. I'm running for town trustee of wonderful Superior, Colorado. Brief introduction to me, the reasons why I love Superior, and most importantly, why I'm running for town trustee. So last time I ran for an elected position was PEP commissioner in high school, which I won. So the stump speech might be a little rusty, but here I go. So I moved here back in May of 2006. I had a job which was based above Superior Liquor, and not unlike Trustee Lasis, I just Googled Superior apartments and found myself in Horizons, which is now Bell Flatirons. Within the first week, I loved the town. It was small. I had just moved here from Berkeley and had spent 8 years in the Bay Area there. I loved the mountains. I loved the trails. I loved the paths to run. I was training for an Ironman, and the people were absolutely friendly to meet and chat with, and very welcoming. I moved back to the Bay for a hot minute, and then back to Santa Monica in 2012 to get my MBA from UCLA Anderson School of Management, and immediately was trying to find a way to get back to Superior. I was able to find a job back in Boulder, and so from 2016 to 2018, some very interesting years, I was in Boulder, Colorado. Fortunately, I found a lovely house here on Marble Lane in 2018 and have been what I considered my forever home. Now I just try to keep my lawn in shape, have a good barbecue, and be the best human for my recently adopted Irish Wolfhound, Dude, which you might see me walking around the neighborhood. It's the kind of small pony looking thing. So why am I running for town trustee? Well, I've been here long enough to say back in the good old days of Superior, and I think actually the town has the best years in front of it. So for me, it's all about having a safe place to live, having a positive business impact, having some great schools, and then keeping our open space available. And I will probably be answering these questions as we go along.
Great. Thank you so much, Chris. All right, now we're going to move on to the question and answer segment of our panel here. I do want to remind candidates to please keep your answers to no more than 2 minutes, just so we can be respectful of everyone's time. First up, I'm happy to introduce Chamber Board Member Joy Paul Yoder with Paul Interiors, who's going to offer up the first question to candidate Kevin Ryan.
Hi there, Kevin. Superior residents, hi. Superior residents consistently express a desire for more restaurants in the town, yet most restaurants here are struggling for business. We've had several close in 2020. What can the town do to foster a healthier, profitable environment for restaurants?
Well, maybe let's start first by giving a shout out to the restaurants that we have today. PJ's Diner, one of my personal favorites, certainly the Asian Noodle House. So there are, while we have lost a few, there are some great restaurants here. Restaurants are a challenge. It's been a tough year for restaurants all across America due to COVID, but frankly, even in normal times, it was a challenge for Superior. One of the things that was difficult for me really to understand in supporting downtown Superior, because we pushed back on the developer pretty hard saying, but where is downtown? Where are the shops? Where are the restaurants? Why do we not have breweries? And what we've been told for all these years is first the residential, once we have these 1,400 dwelling units, we'll have enough foot traffic, enough people where it's not just, it doesn't just have to be a destination. It could be somewhere to go. They already have all these people that are there. And so the residential now is, call it 40–45% of the way built, or maybe about 40% of the way built right now. It's very important that we keep our foot on the gas, continue with the residential build out, continue with what was promised, which was the Main Street delivery. Once Main Street is there, if we can get a couple anchor tenants, if we can get those, both the anchor tenants in terms of commercial or some type of other business that's there, those restaurants will come. So far, it has historically been a challenge. There's a lot of competition from Louisville, from downtown Louisville, from Lafayette, from Boulder and neighboring communities. I do think this can and should be the place where we're not just living, not just playing, but where we are in fact eating, and it can be a restaurant destination. But key to that is the completion of the downtown core.
All right, thank you so much. Next, we will move on to Nick Crothers with Nick Crothers Real Estate, who is going to pose a question to candidate Tim Howard.
Hi, Tim. What impact do you expect the economic downturn and pandemic to have on the future of downtown Superior? Are the plans for downtown Superior approved in 2019 still viable for 2020 and beyond?
Thank you, Nick, for the question. And I think it's an important one. I think what we have to do is we have to look at both the near term and the long term impact. The CEO of Zillow recently put a op-ed into Inc. magazine where he discussed why there's this divergence between residential price appreciation and the bottom falling out of commercial rents. And I believe we have to look at downtown Superior and recognize that the developer is likely facing enormous pressure in terms of being able to pre-lease commercial space. And so what we have to do is we have to be creative. We have to understand that the town probably has to step in and look at some more creative solutions. I don't think the economy going forward is filled with storefronts that are mom and pop shops. I think what it more likely is a combination of a restaurant hub. And there what we have to do is we have to reach out to some of the true entrepreneurs, the Bobby Stuckeys of Frasca, the owner chef of Salt and maybe Oak, and talk about a creative way to create a restaurant hub, because I don't think they're just going to come. I think we have to go out and get them. And I think we have the people here that can make that happen. But ultimately, what I think we have to do is we have to recognize that the economics are different. And it's not so much about how much in terms of square feet of commercial space there is, but rather it's the quality of what we have, and then making sure that all of our economic development efforts are done in a way that they're attractive to other businesses, particularly those that are looking to migrate from the Bay Area to a place like this where we have the right home life work balance, and we also have the educated people who can fill positions and create a more thriving downtown area.
Great. Thank you so much, Tim. Now we will go to Chamber Board Member Barbara James with Positively Funded, who is going to pose a question to candidate Chris Oakes.
Hello, Chris. Thanks for joining us today. As a resident of Superior and a small business owner, I know that the trustees have a great impact on our future, and we appreciate all of their time that they put into making our town such a wonderful place. So thank you again for being here. Chris,
Of course.
how does the issue of affordable and attainable housing impact the economics of Superior? And should the town of Superior prioritize development of workforce housing, and what's the right way to do it? And Chris, I want you to please keep in mind that when we talk about workforce housing, please remember that school teachers cannot afford to buy homes in Boulder County because it's too expensive. So when we talk about workforce, we are talking about the salts and the pieces of our community that are so important.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think this is a very nuanced question, and I think probably every single candidate has probably a varied opinion on it. It is something that needs to be addressed. It needs to be addressed very accurately. We cannot have a school teacher driving 45 minutes each way and then expect to go home and grade papers. My sister's a math teacher in San Diego, so it is something I know that with our development that we have, and speaking with the home builders, they're open to it. They are open to creating that affordable housing. And I think with the managed growth that Superior has to be able to have, it's something that is very important. It needs to be done correctly. I'm very open to working with the builders on trying to figure out what is most effective. It's no secret we have a high house price in Superior. And when you look at real estate and what they pass around, the houses get sold. So it's doing nothing but kind of driving the prices up. So a very tangible thing that we have to be able to do with all of our growth. And we should figure something out like that. We're close to an RTD station. So if there is some public transportation that needs to be put in place with that, it's great. These are also the people that, that would be some of that infrastructure within our town. So.
Great. Thank you so much, Chris. Next, we're going to move on to Chamber Ambassador Sheila Clemenson of Transition Coaching Services with a question for candidate Paige Henson.
Hi, Paige. There are many commercial vacancies in our shopping centers. Should the town do more to address the high vacancy rate? And how will vacancies impact the town and the future of commercial development for downtown Superior?
Thank you for the question. It's no secret that we have an unacceptably high retail vacancy rate here in Superior today. And that's a problem that other communities in our area are facing as well. Obviously, COVID-19 pandemic is not helping with that. I'm sure people have noticed that even the Starbucks on Pearl Street in Boulder closed recently. Many stores have closed at the Flatirons Mall in Broomfield. And this decline in retail, it's been accelerated by COVID-19, but I don't think we can expect that after the COVID-19 pandemic has subsided, that things will go back to the way they were before. I mean, online retail is not going away. It's just more and more popular every year. So I do think that the town should be doing more to try to support businesses to stay in our retail paths here in town. I think we should think about, through the COVID-19 pandemic, whether we should add more economic incentives and tax relief, both for existing businesses and for potentially new businesses that would come in. I think we should prioritize attracting businesses that would operate office space here as well, because I think that would have great spillover effects for restaurants. As was mentioned earlier, a lunch business or a breakfast business would really help restaurants stay open. And finally, I do think that adding rooftops and housing will help drive traffic for our local businesses. I think small business operators, rely on that foot traffic, rely on people passing by to keep their doors open. And I think we probably are moving towards a new normal where a smaller retail square footage is sufficient to provide services to the same number of residents. So I think keeping all that in mind, I think we can do more, and we can also be flexible. The last thing I'll mention is, just as we go forward with new developments and redeveloping potentially the Superior Marketplace going forward, I'd love to think about ways that we could potentially subdivide those parcels so that we're not so beholden to very large developers at the scale of Brixmor, because one of the challenges that our small businesses have is the extremely high rents that those developers tend to charge. And so I think we'd all be better off if we could find a way for smaller local developers and investors to be able to buy a few retail pads here and there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paige. All right, now we will move on to Mark Lasis, and I will ask the first question. Mark, the town has a great deal riding on the success of big box stores Walmart, Target, and Costco. Is the town's dependence on these big boxes an economic liability? And can the town do something to minimize the threat of a big box leaving and taking their tax revenue with them?
That's a great question, Stephanie. Thank you. So I think first, and when we're talking about the Superior Marketplace, we really do need to preserve our anchor retailers like Target and Costco, because more than 70% of our tax dollars come from 5 retailers, and 2 of those retailers are Target and Costco. So our future depends on keeping these anchor retailers happy. But I do think that a substantial investment from the owner of Brixmor to redevelop the marketplace, I mean, it is struggling. And if someone were to develop a retail center like the marketplace, they would never develop it today the way it's currently configured. There's too much excessive parking. I think there's an opportunity to bring some residential in there. That residential would give added foot traffic from residents, which would help the commercial tenants thrive that are actually in the Superior Marketplace. We've been working with our economic development consultant to continue to attract businesses. Obviously, COVID-19 is a struggle for the town and for businesses in general, but we do have a new business that will be opening soon next to Panera. But the fact is that because so many of us shop online, commercial retailers are going to continue to face unique challenges in the future. So to address that, during my first term, we directed town staff to do what it takes to start collecting sales tax from online retailers like Amazon. And that's already had a substantial impact on our town's financial health. So while the struggles from COVID-19 are real, our town is actually poised quite well. Target, Costco, Whole Foods, Safeway all benefited from stockpile shopping. Our sales tax receipts are up about 15% for the year. But yes, the answer to your question is yes, we need to continue to work with our economic development team to attract new businesses. But at the same time, we do need to preserve those anchor retailers, because so much of our financial security, our sales tax receipts come from those 5 retailers. But I am encouraged by our success. So many communities have seen local businesses and restaurants fail. We've had some closures, but we haven't had that many. And I think we're positioned really well for the future. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mark. All right, we will now go on to the second round of candidate questions. Sheila has a question for Chris Oakes.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, Sheila.
Okay, at the start of the pandemic, the town of Superior gave economic stimulus grants to brick and mortar businesses. Now the town is using federal CARES funding to offer advertising grants for the same brick and mortars. Should Superior's home-based businesses receive any stimulus from the town? And if so, what might that look like?
From the town, not federal, from the town.
Correct.
I know that we have a ton of home-based businesses. I think just from an optics perception, we would probably have to look at what those towns do, and it kind of almost seems like you're micromanaging it. But if someone, and I'm not picking on any of the if you have like a consulting business that you're doing. Do you really need stimulus? If you're doing something like, PCS, you've got the carpet cleaners that are here. I mean, that's kind of out of their home, but would that qualify for it? So I think we'd probably have to look at it on a case-by-case basis and kind of chunk it into, what are the criteria that we want to be able to have? Do they qualify for it? Does it make sense? Does it not make sense? I was stoked that, Wayne's Barbecue got $10,000 because they should never close down ever. But then when you look at some of the home-based businesses, if they're, again, doing like something where it's a services rather than it's a goods, it's a sticky wicket. Does it qualify? Probably not. I think we could probably redeploy that to the places that need it the most and that should get it. So that's my response for it.
All right, thank you so much. We will now go to Nick for the second question to Paige Henschen.
Hi, Paige. One criticism many Superior business owners have is that it's hard to get residents to prioritize spending their money in Superior. Many head to Louisville or Broomfield to shop. What can we do to incentivize our residents to support Superior retailers first?
It's a great question. And I think one of the things that's really important for us to build a sense of Superior as a cohesive community and as a real, place that we all belong and we all love is supporting our small businesses. I think small and locally owned businesses give us that sense of unique character and unique place. And also small and locally owned businesses really help drive our economy. They create a disproportionate share of jobs. And those investments, come back to us in a way that, shopping in a neighboring town or in a big box store might not. So I think this is a big priority for me. And I think we could really partner with the Chamber of Commerce. So I think the Chamber does a good job of amplifying on social media and advertising the businesses that are members. I'd love to see the town partner in amplifying those shop local messages. We could have a shop local day. One thing that some municipalities have done through the COVID-19 pandemic is to issue, buy one, get one shop local gift cards. So if you purchase a gift card for $25, you get a bonus gift card that could also be spent only at stores that are within the town limits. We could do more through our procurement and town purchasing to open those contract opportunities up to businesses that are locally owned here. And I think when we have events or opportunities like we had our Park and Jam last weekend, to really make sure that we're putting our local businesses front and center and just really weaving together the sense of place, the place that we all live, weaving that together with the businesses that are really important to our community.
Thank you so much, Paige. All right, now we will move on to Barbara James with a second question for Kevin Ryan.
Hello, Kevin. It's nice to see you. Thank you for being a trustee and for running again. Diversity, equity, and inclusion are defining questions of our time. However, Superior has no formal programs in place to address them. What should the town be doing to make Superior a welcoming place of diverse citizenry, customer base, and workforce?
It's a great question. I think it's not just Superior, it's frankly all of Boulder County, and it's Colorado that doesn't see the diversity. I grew up on the East Coast. I worked for a company with a large office out of Atlanta. So back in normal times, I traveled to Atlanta. And it is a striking difference from the moment you land in Denver Airport, and that difference strikes you even harder when you arrive in Superior. We just do not have a very diverse community for whatever reason. But I think it's almost deeper than that, because when we even look at some of our volunteers or our elected officials, frankly, this is one of the great questions we got from a resident was, why are there so few female candidates running for trustee? Paige was kind enough to reach out to me last week, and we had a really pleasant conversation, and that conversation flowed over into the dinner table and with my wife, and we've had a few conversations since. What could I do to encourage more women to get involved in politics? I work in, my day job is in healthcare. Women are healthcare providers, sick providers. So my boss is a woman, my coworkers are women. It is not as well represented within our town. One of the things that we will be doing is establishing this as a priority in the coming years. We've talked about it at the board level, but right now there's just no easy answer around diversity and inclusion. An anecdote, and it's a small anecdote, but I'm super lucky. I have a loving family. I have a job that is a bit forgiving if I'm slow on a Tuesday morning. If our board meetings go until midnight or 1 or 2 in the morning, I could start off a little slower on a Tuesday morning. Not everybody has that luxury, and that may be it's a very small privilege, but it is a privilege that I enjoy. And so one of the things that I've just been doing is, if a single one of my colleagues, our town policy says if a meeting ends at 11 o'clock, it has to be unanimous, that we all would extend. I think that's a good policy, but I've taken it one step further personally. And if one of my colleagues says it's time to end, then I will vote with him or her and say, I agree, it's time to end, because I want to respect her or him as they make that important decision. It's a very small and trivial example and not a significant thing that I'm doing, but it's something that I think we all need to step back and think about. Are my actions a result of any privilege? What could I do to encourage diversity and inclusion? And just simply by, I think, starting to ask those questions, I think it's the right first step, but it should be a priority for the board. And frankly, I'd love to hear from businesses as well around what we could do to support minority-owned businesses. So it's a good question. I appreciate it. I wish I had a better answer. I'm afraid I don't, but we're working on it.
Thank you, Kevin. Now we will move on to Joy Paul Yoder to ask the second question of Mark Lasis.
Hi there, Mark. If the 2021 budget proposal passes in October, the town will hire a new full-time economic development manager. What would you expect this person's most pressing priorities to be?
Thank you, Joy, for that question. I think it'll be twofold. I think the development of office space is going to be absolutely critical, and then the continued efforts to attract additional businesses to come and invest in Superior. The office user is really the sticky wicket that we have been without in Superior. Other communities have office users, and as a result, and Paige alluded to this earlier, there's a spillover effect from office users that benefit local businesses, right? Office users, they shop at stores and they eat at local restaurants, which is an adrenaline shot to those local businesses. Office users also pay higher property taxes. In fact, they pay about 4 times the residential mill levy, which is why I have consistently voted against increasing our property tax mill levies in Superior, because they have a disproportionately and substantial impact on the rents that commercial tenants pay, which are then passed through to the tenants through their triple net leases. And I think that we need to keep our taxes low to remain competitive for the businesses who might consider operating in Superior. In addition to that, I think that if we're going to compete for office users, we need to be prepared to offer the sorts of economic incentives that Louisville, Broomfield, Lafayette, and Erie already are. Because if we're not playing the same game, how do we expect to win it? I mean, they're all offering economic incentives, tax incentives to these businesses to attract office users to come locate in their jurisdictions. We currently have not had a plan on that. And then with regards to attracting commercial tenants, I think that we need to be, we're going to have somebody who's going to be full-time committed to Superior as opposed to just a consultant. And those efforts are going to be directed towards attracting the types of businesses that I think realistically can survive in the world that we're living in. We need to recognize that, brick and mortar retailers are going to be struggling because of online sales through Amazon. So we need to be bringing in, experiential businesses, businesses like ninja gyms and, the swimming school that we have, the Goldfish Swim School that we have down that took the place of the Sports Authority. Those are the type of businesses that I think have the potential consumers in Superior that are going to be supporting the local economy and who could thrive. So it's really the office users and the continued efforts to attract additional businesses to invest in Superior. Thank you for the question.
Thank you so much, Mark. All right, I will now ask the final question to Tim Howard. Tim, since the start of the pandemic, the market for office space has precipitously declined as more workers work from home. However, the lack of daytime workers impacts Superior's ability to support expanded retail and restaurants. How might Superior navigate this tricky situation?
Well, thank you, Stephanie, for the easy question. That was a joke. So I think the recognition that I think we have 11 vacancies in the marketplace, another 4 in Rock Creek Village. This is a challenge that we're going to continue to have even post-COVID. We need to reimagine what economic development is. I think Mark alluded to this a bit. One, we have to have a compelling story to attract both those new offices, the office dweller, and to me, that includes the question about diversity, inclusion, and inclusion. That has to include a real program around attainable housing. And the reason I'm getting to this is we need to diversify the economic contributors in our community, not just businesses, but also people. I do think we have to look at a really robust program there. We need to look at some potential for higher density housing, because if we do that, we have the ability to bring in additional folks. But for Superior itself, I think one of the keys to dealing with the economic uncertainty and the economic problem is not to ignore home-based businesses, but to actually embrace them. I think they are a critical part of the future economic development of the town, and by including them in stimulus activities. And those knowledge-based businesses or those service-based businesses, they are every bit as valuable as the brick and mortar barbecue shop. So I think it is really important that we look at the totality, and we're looking at what's the economic future 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, and make sure that we're incentivizing those groups. Last point to make is, I think we do have to recognize that, especially in bringing restaurants into downtown Superior, we have to be ready to help mitigate the risk that a new restaurant has. So thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you so much, Tim. All right, we will now invite candidates to give their closing statements of no more than 1 minute. And again, in random order, we will start with Chris Oakes.
Now I'm not muted. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Stephanie, and thank you to you and TJ for the sweet potato fries a couple weeks ago. They were delicious. So I think for me, I'd be a fantastic candidate for this position. One, as a business person and having worked in startup space, I know what it takes to actually run a business. If we treat Superior as a business and we treat businesses in Superior as a business for the town, I understand what that takes. A lot of the candidates have talked about bringing in the office space. That's literally what brought me here 14 years ago. So I get it. We would go to Superior Liquor for happy hour. We would go to Old Seas. We'd go to Whole Foods. We'd go to Costco for everything. So I think bringing in some office space is a unique thing. And then further to what attracts the business of having people here is creating the right environment within the town. Having a safe town. I love what Trustee Lasis sent us. I've already reached out to Sergeant Wolf of what the town can do to be a safer town. That attracts people to want to be here and have a business here. Having that open space, having the residents that want to stay here within the town for their shopping to support the businesses. And I think it'd be an honor to be a trustee. It'd be exciting and enthusiastic, and I would work hard. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. All right, we will now move on to a closing statement from Paige Henson.
Thank you again to the Chamber for hosting this forum. If elected your trustee, I pledge to work hard and listen to all voices. I will strive to treat my fellow board members and citizens with kindness and respect. I will be honest, sharing my true position on every issue, regardless of whether it's politically advantageous or popular. I believe that my business background will help me to make good decisions for our local economy. I will advocate for attainable housing, environmental sustainability, and diversity and inclusion. I want to be your trustee so I can help build a new era of leadership for Superior that puts our values first. To learn more about me and my campaign, please visit my website, www.paigehenschen.com. It would be an honor to serve as your trustee, and I ask that you vote for me, Paige Henson, this fall. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paige. All right, now a closing statement from Tim Howard.
I want to thank the Chamber, TJ, Stephanie, and all of the questioners for the opportunity to speak with you today. As was evidenced by the discussion today, each of us bring different perspectives and expertise to the table. We're all privileged to live and work in this great town, to be surrounded by majestic vistas that remind us of just how important that life-work balance is. In this chaotic time, the opportunities we have to support our neighbors and small businesses is something we can't take for granted. We know just how lucky we are. I look forward to the opportunity to continue to work with the residents and the volunteers who work on the committees and boards to openly discuss and debate issues facing residents and businesses, all in an effort to enrich and advance our lives. Please feel free to learn more about my campaign at timforsuperior.com or contact me directly. Most importantly, though, I urge each and every one of you to vote the entire ballot this November. Talk with your friends and family. Make sure everyone is registered and they vote. Make sure your voice is heard. Thank you again for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Tim. All right, now we will allow Kevin Ryan to give his closing statement.
Thank you. And thanks again for the Chamber for hosting. I thank my fellow candidates and each of you out there who have taken an interest and taken the time to watch this forum. Our town is really on a great trajectory, and I'm so proud of the work that we, my fellow trustees and the residents have accomplished over these last 4 years. There's a lot of really great candidates out there, and to be honest, there's really no bad choice that any resident could make for during this local election. But experience matters. These are unprecedented times with COVID-19, and we're going to face some tough choices. We can't pretend that the next 4 years are going to look anything like the last 4, but we've been on this great path together, and hope you will continue to support me on the journey and elect me as a trustee again. My focus will be health and safety, economic development, and a commitment to transparency. I don't really think there's any good side to a global pandemic, but it has forced us to leverage technology to be more connected. These new digital connections aren't going anywhere, so please stay in touch, get in touch with me. You could find me on Facebook by searching for Kevin for Trustee. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kevin. All right, and finally, we invite Mark Lasis to give his closing statement.
Thank you, Stephanie, and thank you to the Superior Chamber again for hosting this forum tonight. Being an elected official means serving and listening to the community. As trustee, I've worked hard to increase community engagement, improve communication, and better push information out to our residents. I provide monthly town updates via my blog. I regularly engage on social media. I meet with residents through my Lowdown with Trustee Lasis program, and helped implement weekly town emails that preview upcoming meetings and recap past ones. As Kevin said, and I agree, experience, leadership, and community engagement matter. It was an honor to receive your vote 4 years ago, and I'm respectfully asking for it again. To learn more about me and my campaign, please visit marklasis.com. Thank you.
Thank you to all of our candidates for your participation today and for your willingness to provide leadership to the town of Superior. We, the Chamber, sincerely appreciate your participation and willingness to engage us as Superior's business and professional community. A recording of this forum will be made available on the Chamber's YouTube channel and Facebook page by tomorrow. The Boulder County League of Women Voters will be hosting another forum for Superior trustee candidates tomorrow, October 1st. Questions will likely address a wider spectrum of questions of interest to Superior residents. We have posted the link to information on that forum on our Facebook page and on our event calendar at superiorchamber.com. Registered voters will begin receiving their mail-in ballots around October 9th. Your ballot must be received by Election Day, November 3rd. Remember that there is a ballot drop-off location at Superior's Town Hall at 124 East Coal Creek Drive. Citizens must register to vote no later than October 26th to get a mail ballot. And you may also register and vote in person at vote centers through 7 p.m. on Election Day, November 3rd, 2020. This concludes the Face the Chamber event. We invite your feedback by email at info@superiorchamber.com. The Chamber wishes all candidates the very best of luck. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you, TJ. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you, everyone.